All right, let's just get right into it. Our scene opens with a large, wealthy family enjoying each other's company on Christmas Eve. The tree is lit. The fire is blazing. Grandpa is walking around the room telling everybody a scary story about a man who breaks into homes and gives presents to the wealthy and omens of admonishment to the poor. And Grandpa ends his story by grabbing onto Dad's shoulders and saying, "Have you been naughty?" And everybody laughs. They laugh like it's the first freaking joke they ever heard. And they laugh until out of the fireplace bursts the man from the story, destroying the fireplace in the process, I might add. And he's bigger than they thought he would be. And he has a huge white beard and a villainous red suit. And he grabs Dad up by the collar of the shirt and says, "You have been naughty," and slams Dad's head into the wall. And the rest of the family, they start screaming like a bunch of lunatics. So he grabs on this bag on his back. It's this big red bag, and it's like a bag that's made of magic. Because he reaches his hand in, and he can pull out any weapon he wants. Doesn't matter the size. So he pulls out a bunch of obscure and rad weapons and starts cutting them down. All in slow motion, all to whatever current pop music we can get our hands on. When the last person gets cut down, that's when we go blackout, title, Red Christmas, next scene. John and Kate are unpacking their new home at the North Pole. What did they move to the North Pole for? They moved there for work. What kind of work do they do? They're scientists. What kind of scientists are they? Listen, you're not smart enough to know different kinds of scientists. John and Kate live at the edge of a science town. They have two neighbors, one that lives super duper close and one that lives super far away because he owns a whole mountain. There is a chance that the audience is going to be a little bit upset about the first 25 minutes of this film. But don't worry, because we're going to win them back. It's okay. We're going to get them back in those seats. We're going to give them a little reward, right? We're going to reward them with a funny music, food fight, dancing, Christmas lights, sex montage. It's going to go over very well. And that goes on for a while. But when they're done, they're sitting on the couch and the lights are down low, and John is telling Kate a story he had heard from one of the locals about a feral caribou with razor-sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. And right when the story's at its sexiest, and they're about to touch faces, power goes out. So naturally, they run next door, and then they knock on the door, but no answer. So they go to open the door, and it's unlocked. So they let themselves in, as is done, and they see that the fireplace has been destroyed. And they look on the wall opposite the fireplace, and they see that their neighbor has been smushed up against the wall so hard that his face and head have been popped like a cherry tomato. They scream and they run out into the street. They can't see anything. They only see one thing. They see a light piercing through the darkness from on top of the mountain. And it looks like it's a huge building with a ton of light coming off of it. So they decide that they're going to do what they do best, and it's science up that mountain. And so we're going to give the audience another reward. We're going to give them exactly what they want. We're going to give them a suit up, gear up montage. So they make love real quick, and then instead of getting into their dumb science lab coats, they get into their cool military grade science gear. And this has all like the belts and buckles and zippers and buttons that you would possibly want on military grade science gear. And they've also got all the gadgets. This is where they really prove that they're scientists, by saving each other from peril many, many times. And they've got, like I said, they've got all the gadgets and they've got all the stuff. And they actually save each other quite a bit until they get turned around in the candy cane forest. That's when they run into that caribou. Remember that guy from earlier? They run into that feral caribou. But he doesn't have glowing red eyes. He has a glowing red nose, and he's about half the size that they thought he would be. So they work together, and using their cunning and teamwork, they actually evade, capture, and kill the caribou. And as a show of power over nature, they make love in a hammock swinging above his desecrated remains. And while they're lying in the hammock, they look up at the sky and they see the stars and they say, "Oh, wait a second, we didn't look at the stars from this exact angle before. If we had looked at them from this exact angle, we would have known where we were and we wouldn't have gotten turned around." So they had to make love, or they wouldn't have seen the stars from that angle and they wouldn't know where they were. So they had to. They had to. And John and Kate get up to the top of the mountain pretty easy after that because they're scientists. And when they get up to the building, they go inside, and it's this giant toy factory. And it's lit up magnificently, and there's Christmas music blaring, but there's nobody there. They go look at some of the machines, and it looks like it's made for people the size of children. So Kate says she wants to speak to the manager. So they go up the observation tower in the very center of the factory, and they knock on the door, but nobody's there. So they make love in the captain's chair, which causes them to makes them lose focus. They lose focus because they made love, and they don't notice a little human-type creature come out from under the counter. And I'm actually a little proud of this one. This is a creature of my own design. It's like a human, but it's miniature and has pointy ears, and its only purpose in life is to make toys for children on Christmas. Anyways, this little creature, his name is Sparkles or Sprinkles or something dumb like that, and he tells the whole backstory of the guy who owns that mountain. And you know the guy, the red villain from earlier? The red villain and that guy who owns the mountain, they're the same guy. That's right, and he's got a wicked backstory. He was born like 1,000 years ago, and he gained his immortality, and he brings gifts to the nice children every year. But this year he got addicted to fentanyl, and now he just wants to kill every mortal human until they're all dead. And he's got magic on his side, so there's not really a whole lot we can do about it. So John and Kate have to decide if they're going to use the North Pole's nuclear reactor self-destruct sequence to blow up the world and spare everybody the red villain's carnage, or if they're going to let the red villain keep going on his killing spree, and maybe perhaps somebody else with magic can stop him. So John holds his hand over the button, Kate holds her hand over his. They both sigh out, blackout, title, Red Christmas.
You can't say that.